Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the learning. Today we are going to discuss about continuation of our human digestive system. In last video I have explained all this. And stomach, we have stopped at the stomach. Now the food which is reacted with pepsin, mucus and HCl, we call that as a chyme. Now the chyme will enter into the small intestine. The small intestine will be further divided into portions. The first portion of the small intestine we call it as a duodenum. The next is the jejunum, and the last one will be the ileum. Right? Now the maximum digestion takes place in the first part of small intestine, that is nothing but the duodenum. Let us understand what happens in the duodenum and what are all the glands which produces all the juices and all. Now see here, when the chyme from the stomach enters into the first part of the small intestine, at the time the liver which will secrete the bile, it will be stored in the gallbladder, right? That bile and pancreatic juices which are all secreted by the pancreas, which is just located below the stomach, will secrete the pancreatic juices and the bile juice into the duodenum. They together with the common bile duct and the sphincter of pancreatic duct combine together and forms hepatic pancreatic duct. Hepatic pancreatic duct, and they will releases the bile and the pancreatic juices into the duodenum. Right? Up to the stomach, only proteins will be get digested and carbohydrates will be get digested. But no fat digestion takes place in the stomach and in our mouth. Now the fat digestion is going to happen in this duodenum along with the carbohydrate digestion and along with the proteins digestion. See here, liver is the largest organ in the human body. You people know that, right? And the liver manufactures bile which gets stored in the gallbladder. From the gallbladder, bile is released as and when required. Whenever the chyme enters into the duodenum, the gallbladder will releases the bile into the duodenum. Let us understand the reactions of bile. Now bile, it will act as a emulsifying agent. That is nothing but it will break the large fat globules into the small fat globules. Right? The bile salt will react with the large fat globules, and it will break the large fat globule into small fat globule. You can observe here, see here, all this light blue colored one will be attached with the bile salt, see, into the small fat globules. This is the function of bile, and it will also provides the alkaline medium for the action of juices which are all secreted by the pancreas. See, the pancreas is situated just below the stomach, and it will secrete the pancreatic juices which contains many digestive enzymes. See, pancreas is located just below the stomach, right? It will secrete the pancreatic juices. The pancreatic juices are trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, pancreatic lipase and pancreatic amylase. Okay, the pancreatic juices are trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, pancreatic lipase and pancreatic amylase. Let us understand the reactions here. See, first pancreatic amylase. The pancreatic amylase, do you remember the word amylase? While I am explaining about the salivary amylase, the same function will be carried over by the amylase here, but it is secreted in the pancreas. That's why it is called pancreatic amylase, right? And it will break the starch, remaining starch. In the mouth, only 10% of starch will be converted to maltose and then to glucose. Remaining 90% breakdown of starch takes place in the duodenum. That means no carbohydrate digestion takes place in the stomach. Right? Now, the starch will be broken down. The remaining starch will be broken down to maltose, then maltose to glucose in the presence of amylase. This is the function of pancreatic amylase. Next, the trypsin. The trypsin is an enzyme which will break the proteins. Polypeptides are nothing but the proteins which are all present in the food. That proteins, polypeptides, will be broken down into polypeptide fragments. Okay, into peptides, polypeptide fragments, small fragments, by the action of trypsin. This is the function of trypsin. What is the function of trypsin now? Trypsin will break the proteins into peptides, fragments of peptides. See here, right? That is the function of trypsin. Now, one more enzyme called pancreatic lipase is still there. This pancreatic lipase will act on this small fat globules, right, which was previously broken down by the bile. They form the small fat globules here. These small fat globules will be broken down by the action of lipase into fatty acid and glycerol. Right? Now the pancreatic lipase will break the small fat globules into fatty acids and glycerol. Like this, the maximum digestion happens in the duodenum. No digestion takes place in the next part of the small intestine, jejunum and ileum. But complete absorption takes place in jejunum. No digestion, but absorption will take place in the jejunum. This complex food substances which we ate in the form of food will be broken down to simpler micromolecules, absorbable micromolecules in the duodenum. Finally, the carbohydrates into glucose, proteins into amino acids, fats into fatty acid and glycerol. Right? Then, when the micromolecules reaches the jejunum, it contains the inner walls in the ileum is projected into numerous finger-like projection structures called the villi. Here the absorption takes place. Right? Let us see the villi. This is the structure of villi. See here, blood capillaries. This kind of villi are present in the small intestine. Millions of villi are present. They will absorb the glucose and amino acids. The capillaries which are surrounded here, which are present in the villi, will absorb the glucose and amino acids. The simple micromolecules, glucose and amino acids, will be absorbed into the blood streams. And the fats will enter into the lacteal. See, tiny lymphatic vessel, call it as a lacteal. Fatty acid and glycerol will enter into the lacteal. Like this, with the help of tiny finger-like projections called villi, the absorption takes place in the small intestine. Right? Next, whatever the undigested food is there, it will enter into the large intestine by the point of ileum point here. Here it will enter into the large intestine. In the large intestine, only the absorption of excess water and electrolytes from the remaining undigested food materials takes place in the large intestines. Only water absorption takes place in the large intestine and electrolytes will be absorbed. And the undigested food will be solidified into solid waste and it will be eliminated through the rectum and the anus. In the rectum, it will be stored temporarily. Whatever the undigested food is there, the fecal matter will be stored in the rectum part of large intestine for storage purpose for some hours, and it will be eliminated from the body through the anal part. And it also, the large intestine also houses the beneficial bacteria which helpful in the production of vitamins. And the colon plays an important role in the maintaining the body fluids and electrolyte balance. See here, whatever the water it has been absorbed here and electrolytes, in the large intestine it plays a major role to maintain the water balance in our body and the electrolyte balance in our body. Like this, we have come to an end of the chapter nutrition. When we start with the mouth and the complete alimentary canal, we have studied part-wise esophagus, then stomach, then duodenum, then jejunum, then ileum and the large intestine, rectum and the anus. This will finish us off the nutrition in human beings, and the first lesson for 10th class will be ended with the last part of the alimentary canal. Now students, thanks for listening, thanks for liking the channel, thanks for sharing the channel, and thanks for subscribing the channel. Thank you everyone. Thanks for listening.